2026 could be the most terrifying year for horror fans. Oh yes, we are packed and we're thrilled of so many amazing horror movies and horror stories. Let's see.
2026 isn't just another year for horror. It's the year horror goes nuclear. Robert Eggers directs a werewolf movie. Danny Boyle continues the 28 Days Later franchise. Maggie Gyllenhaal tackles Frankenstein. Blumhouse revives The Mummy. And the Evil Dead franchise returns with a standalone entry. This isn't your typical horror year. This is a masterclass. From legacy sequels to indie breakouts, from auteur nightmares to blockbuster terror, 2026 has something for every horror fan. Let's break down the best horror movies coming out in 2026, and why this year might be the greatest in modern horror history. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, 2026. Danny Boyle's post-apocalyptic horror franchise continues with 28 years later, The Bone Temple, picking up where last year's 28 years later left off, following Ralph Fiennes' Dr. Ian Kelson. The biggest news? Cillian Murphy reprises his role as Jim from the 2002 original 28 Days Later, his first return to the franchise in 24 years. Murphy also serves as executive producer alongside Alex Garland, who returns as screenwriter. Director Nia DaCosta, Candyman, The Marvels, helms this installment. After 28 years later proved successful both critically and commercially, anticipation for The Bone Temple is massive. Plus, Murphy's return sets up his larger role in the planned fifth film, Ready or Not. 2. Here I Come, March 20th, 2026. The 2019 cult hit gets a sequel. The original saw Samara Weaving's Grace survive a deadly game of hide-and-seek with her husband's homicidal family. Plot details for the sequel are scarce, but expect more brutal family game night horror. The original Ready or Not became a word-of-mouth sensation, balancing horror, dark comedy, and social commentary perfectly. If the sequel maintains that tone, it's a guaranteed hit. The Mummy, April 17th, 2026. Blumhouse is reviving Universal's classic monster with director Lee Cronin, Evil Dead Rise, at the helm. This isn't another action-adventure reboot like Tom Cruise's 2017 disaster. This is Blumhouse, meaning actual horror. Cronin proved with Evil Dead Rise that he can balance brutal scares with mainstream appeal. Expect a proper horror reimagining of the classic monster, with a wide theatrical release in April. The Bride, 2026. Maggie Gyllenhaal's sophomore film brings a fresh perspective to the Frankenstein myth, starring Jessie Buckley as the bride, Christian Bale as Frankenstein, alongside Annette Bening, Penelope Cruz, and Peter Sarsgaard. Frankenstein and Dr. Euphronius create a companion, a resurrected woman whose existence sparks not only romance, but also a police investigation and radical social change. Gyllenhaal's debut, The Lost Daughter, earned 3 Oscar nominations, so her take on Frankenstein promises to be art house horror at its finest. This isn't camp. This is an action. This is auteur horror tackling feminist themes through classic monster mythology. Evil Dead Burn, 2026. The 6th installment in the Evil Dead franchise is standalone, directed by Sebastian Vanacek, Infested, and starring Suhaila Yacoub, Hunter Duhan, and Lucian Buchanan. It features an entirely new story and cast, disconnected from previous characters but remaining within the Necronomicon's demonic universe. Evil Dead Rise, 2023, proved the franchise doesn't need Ash Williams to deliver. A fresh cast, brutal practical effects, and a new location equals horror gold. Expect chainsaw carnage, deadite mayhem, and blood by the gallon. Werewolf, December 25th, 2026. Robert Eggers, the man behind The Witch, The Lighthouse, and Nosferatu, tackles werewolves. Set in 13th century England and starring Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Lily Rose Depp, and Willem Dafoe, reuniting with Eggers after Nosferatu, this promises to be Eggers' darkest work yet. Eggers himself said, "This is the darkest thing I've ever written, by far." Let that sink in. The director who gave us cannibalistic isolation horror, The Lighthouse, and Puritan folk terror, The Witch, says this is darker. The Christmas Day 2026 release positions it for awards season after Nosferatu's success. Eggers doesn't make films. He makes experiences. Expect historical accuracy, suffocating atmosphere, and horror that lingers for weeks. Backrooms, May 29th, 2026. The internet's most famous creepypasta becomes a feature film directed by Kane Parsons, age 19, the studio's youngest director ever, and starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Reinsve. The Backrooms is an infinite maze-like dimension beyond reality, filled with yellow-tinged walls and buzzing fluorescent lights, classic liminal space horror. In the film, a therapist must brave this unknown dimension to retrieve a patient who has mysteriously no-clipped out of reality. Parsons created viral YouTube videos exploring the Backrooms before bringing it to theaters. This could be Gen Z horror meets a 24-style psychological terror, potentially the next Skinamarink. Resident Evil, Zach Kreger. 2026. The Barbarian director tackles the legendary gaming franchise, and this isn't another Paul W.S. Anderson action fest. Zach Kreger writes and directs. If you've seen Barbarian, you know Kreger understands tension, subversion, and genuine scares. Expect a faithful adaptation that prioritizes horror over action, zombies, bio-horror, and Umbrella Corporation conspiracy done right. Obsession, May 15th, 2026. Directed by Curry Barker, Milk and Cereal, this horror film follows a hopeless romantic who breaks the mysterious one-wish willow to win his crush's heart, and things go horribly wrong. Starring Michael Johnston, Inda Navarrete, Cooper Tomlinson, and Andy Richter, it's already a festival circuit darling. Early word suggests this is wish fulfillment horror done right. Think Drag Me to Hell meets The Monkey's Paw. Scary Movie 6, 2026. After 13 years, the horror spoof franchise returns with the Wayans brothers back in full force. Marlon, Sean, and Keenan Ivory wrote the script and are producing, with Anna Faris and Regina Hall returning for the first time since Scary Movie 4, 2006. They'll likely target elevated horror, Hereditary Midsommar, legacy sequels, Scream 5, 6, and a 24 pretentiousness. After a decade of elevated horror discourse, Scary Movie 6 promises to skewer everything from trauma porn to thoughtless legacy sequels. Additional 2026 highlights: We Bury the Dead, Daisy Ridley zombie horror, festival favorite hitting U.S. theaters, Primate, killer monkey horror with practical FX, opened Fantastic Fest to screaming crowds, Return to Silent Hill, direct adaptation of Silent Hill 2. Director Christoph Gans returns, Night Patrol, Justin Long as a vampire cop, 90s action vibes meet horror, Saccharin, Natalie Erica James, Relic, directs. Shudder acquisition about eating human ashes for weight loss, Mother of Flies, Addams Family, the filmmaking dynasty, not the fictional one, return with supernatural grief horror. Hokum, May 1st release. Plot under wraps but generating festival buzz. Touch Me, Addison Hyman's psychosexual sci-fi horror, aliens, tentacles, and very horny. Limited theatrical March 20th, VOD April 2nd. They Will Kill You, March 27th, from the Muschietti's new horror label Nocturna. NYC high-rise mystery with Myha'la Herald, Zazie Beetz, Patricia Arquette. Pretty Lethal, March 25th on Prime Video. Uma Thurman leads Ballerinas Under Siege. Thread, An Insidious Tale, Insidious spin-off starring Kumail Nanjiani and Mandy Moore. Couple tries to travel back in time to prevent daughter's death. Clayface, October. DC Universe body horror origin story. Tom Rhys-Harries as disfigured actor who transforms into clay. Shiver, formerly Beneath the Storm. July 3rd on Netflix. Tommy Wirkola directs. Hurricane Disaster meets Shark Horror. Which 2026 horror movie are you most excited for? Team Eggers Werewolf or Team Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later sequel? Drop your pick in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for breakdowns, reviews, and updates on every major horror release of 2026.
Which one of these horror movies are you most hyped for? And which one do you think is gonna be the scariest in theaters? Let us know in the comments. And if you'd like, subscribe. And we're ready for new horror stories. This is Spoiler Alert Cinema. See you soon.